Welcome back, YouTube. Lord Zath with another replay analysis video. Now, this one, I paused at the beginning, and I'd love some feedback from you guys. Do you like seeing the start of the video with a little bit of a teaser about what you're going to see? Let me know in the comments. It's always helpful to know what works, what's not working for you guys. This is a Chumphon battle, and I shared this because of a couple of things. One, I don't think I have that many videos of the Chumphon, and it's the Tier 7 Pan-Asian light cruiser. So I thought maybe it's a good opportunity to get that out. Also, it piqued my interest when, I believe that this is EvilTreeSock said, that they actually did two things at once. They capped the end base, as you can see there. At the same time, they killed the last remaining ship on the enemy team. So they kind of, if you think about it, met both win conditions at the exact same time. That's kind of cool. I thought that was kind of neat. There's something else too I wanted to share with you guys now. The rendering has been updated to also give you a glimpse into what players are using. And this is a very helpful tool for me, and I hope you guys appreciate and enjoy it too, for figuring out what are people using for their ships. So you can see for this particular battle, the Chumphon is fully researched, and he's using main armaments mod 1, damage control system mod 1, aiming systems mod 1, and propulsion. Now, that's a very standard build. The damage control system mod 1 is useful if you don't like to catch on fire or flood quite a bit. Personally, I would probably put the engine room protection in here simply because a ship like the Chumphon, it's a light cruiser. If it gets whacked by anything with big guns, the chances of losing your engines are quite high, in my opinion. So I might run that instead. And you can see the standard build here. You've got damage control party. You've got Pan-Asian cruiser smoke, which it lasts it doesn't last as long as say American smoke, but it cools down relatively quickly. He's got defensive anti-air fire, of course, and then torpedo reload booster. Now, the torpedoes on the ship, it's worth mentioning, these are deep water torpedoes. So they will only hit your... actually, I think they're ultra deep, if I remember right. They will only hit... oh, no, they can also hit cruisers. Cruisers, battleships, and carriers. They will not hit... destroyers. All right, let's take a look now at the captain build. Now, interestingly enough, and EvilTreeSock, when you see this, I'd love your comment on this. Did you only have a 13-point build? And if so, what are you waiting for on your other skills? I'm very curious about this. Also, it looks like it went into this weird order. So this is a beta, so it's possible this is broken. But hey, you know what? If it gives us some insight at least, that's kind of helpful. So he went with incoming fire alert, so you can see if enemies are shooting at him. It's a nice skill to have. However, I will say that in my experience, I've noticed if I'm a high value ship, in other words, I'm a ship that everybody shoots immediately upon being spotted, this doesn't help a ton because you just know people are shooting at you. And the problem is you don't know how many people are shooting at you. It's one of the reasons why oftentimes I prefer priority target over incoming fire alert. It just gives me a little bit more information, although it does cost an extra skill point to use. Alternately, last stand in a light cruiser. Go back to what I said before about losing engines. With last stand, you lose the engines. Okay, well, at least you can still somewhat maneuver, and at least your rudder kind of moves as well. According to the builder, we have consumables enhancements. Now, this makes perfect sense. You have extra 10% smoke generator uptime, which is very handy in a ship that depends on smoke quite a bit. Superintendent to get an additional consumable. One more smoky smoke is kind of nice. Another good possibility is survivability expert, simply because even at tier 7, while you're not getting a ton of hit points, at every little bit counts, and sometimes that can mean the difference between life or death. Adrenaline Rush, though, is another good pick. I think that makes perfect sense. Now, you could go what we call Lighthouse build and go for heavy HE and SAP shells. Now, what this does, we call it Lighthouse because everybody can see you more. 15% greater detectability for ships that have a main battery of 149 and above. Now, interestingly enough, Chumphon has 127s, so you don't have to worry so much about the lighthouse portion, I suppose. But getting that extra 10% HE damage might be handy, especially if you wanted to combo that in with IFHE to ensure that your shells will always, or well, not always, but will penetrate more. Concealment Expert makes perfect sense. When I've talked about core builds for cruisers like this, I would start personally with Last Stand, go into Priority Target, probably go into Superintendent or Survivability Expert, one of those two, and then Concealment. Now, there's some interesting things we talked about IFHE. Adrenaline Rush makes perfect sense. You're being shot at, you take hits. The more you take hits, the quicker you reload your guns, the more DACA, right? Top grade gunner is an okay possibility. This helps your main battery reload speed if there's an enemy ship within your standard detection range. The problem with a ship like the Chumphon is if they're in your standard detection range, you're probably in trouble. So I don't know how much top grade gunner is going to help. You have to be very comfortable playing close to the enemy. Another good pick for these ships is Focus Fire Training. And the reason for that is because it's a buff to Priority Sector, it's a buff to your anti-air, and the Pan-Asian light cruiser line is well known for good anti-air. Now, you can make the argument you don't find carriers all that often, but this could come in very handy, especially if you have a friend that you're going to division with all the time who happens to like playing carriers. Your mileage may vary. Alternately, in the Pan Asian line, you could go opt for kind of like a Venom style, if you will, kind of gameplay where you bait the enemy into charging after you, especially enemy battleships, and then you just torp the living hell out of them. You fire your torps, you turn to the other side, fire your torps, use your reload booster, turn to the other side, fire your torps, turn to the other side, fire torps. You get the idea. Lots of deep water torpedoes coming to ruin their day. So you could alternately spec into your torpedo skills. I would not see having a problem with that. I think I did that when I played it before. I don't remember. It's been a while. Signal flags, you're using 4 out of 8 signal flags, apparently. So you are not wearing protection. You're not using Juliet Charlie, which is fine. It's a random battle that we're going to watch. Makes perfect sense. You don't want to have to go and spend a ton of money buying these, and you want to save them for clan battles, ranked battles, other competitive events like King of the Sea. Fine. Makes perfect sense. Keep in mind, actually, King of the Sea doesn't matter anymore because now everybody gets a premium press account. All right, moving on. You are doing November Echo Set 7 for anti-air. Okay. You're doing extra flood chance. Makes perfect sense. Increased chance of your magazine detonating, though, which obviously Juliet Charlie prevents, but hey, whatever. And then you're also using Victor Lima for extra chance of fire and flood. Interesting that you are not using India X-ray simply because that's an additional increase in chances of fire. And then finally, you're using Hotel Yankee. Why? This one I don't get at all because this basically means you're planning on ramming somebody. And in this ship, I guess with subs, you can ram subs now and take less damage that way. I don't know. But in any case, that's the build. All right, let's get into the battle here. And let's see how things unfold. I've already taken my beauty shot at the start of the match, so we can get right into it. And I need to change to VLC player for post-game analysis. Get that ready to go while we load in. All right, let's take a look at the matchmaker. Look at this. There's 2 carriers on each team. Wow. Happa fodder, eat your heart out. Wow, wow, wow. I'll bet now you're wishing that you took some anti-air skills, huh? You've got, let's see, 5 battleships. Now, the thing about these battleships, like I said, because you're a light cruiser, if they see you, they will shoot you and you will die, or at least lose a sizable chunk of your hit points. So seeing a lot of battleships is good because it's more people that you can maybe farm with HE, torp with your deep waters, but at the same time, you have to play much more cautiously because we all know, especially a map like this, cross shots can happen. There's 2 cruisers on each team. You've got a Belfast 43, God bless him, as your other cruiser counterpart. You have a Benson Udachi for destroyers. There's an Ognivoy Mas for their destroyers. I would give your destroyers the benefit here because Udachi's a little bit better for, well, you know, just torping things and whatnot. Benson is a good all-around destroyer. Ognivoy is difficult to play. It's not a bad ship. I would say it's a more difficult ship to play. Moss is fantabulous with the hydro and the smoky and all that good stuff. And then there's 2 submarines each game. All right, now you are putting yourself into a very risky position early on, and I want to highlight this because if there's 2 carriers out here, the chances of you being spotted while you try to get to this position are extremely high. So personally, I don't like this initial spot. I would prefer to see you going over kind of where your Belfast 43 is, because it's a much larger island. It's harder for enemies to shoot over and to get cross shots on you. And let's face it, a lot of people like to push up that channel on the E8 line, right? All right, now you've opened fire on an Ognivoy that's super far range. You're kind of out in the open. You are detected doing this. This is extreme risk number 2, I would say, because frankly, you're risking a lot just to do some chip damage on an Ognivoy. I would say the Ognivoy was almost dead. Maybe you could you know, go for it, but yeah. Now you do have incoming fire alert. I think we'll find out soon enough. And so far nobody's shooting at you, which is interesting. People are shooting the Amagi next to you. So, okay, well, one thing that happens sometimes is battleship players like to shoot other battleship players. Uh-oh. Is that coming for you? It is? Huh, so maybe you don't have incoming fire alert. Or maybe that shell whiffed so bad on the Amagi that it hit you instead. In the meantime, one other quick mention about commander build. If you had priority target, you could tell if somebody was going to shoot you, and then you could immediately smoke in that earlier engagement with the Ognivoy. So, you know, that's something else to consider. All right, now you're safe, and you're going to shoot up the Leon. Now, the Leon's at max range, so chances are you're probably not going to hit him. Now, in the process of shooting, as you can see, you are air detected. Again, 2 carriers in this game. Very hard to see. Oh, incoming shells. Somebody is shooting at you, and it's the Gneisenau out again. Ow! Hey, look what I was talking about earlier. You just got Citadel slapped. So, yeah, I don't know about this positioning. I think if you really wanted to play here, you want to be closer to the island, and not next to these like 2 small ones, because I don't think these small ones are really doing too much for you. It's almost like that scene from God, what is it? True Lies? I think it's True Lies, where Arnold Schwarzenegger's second, if you will, the guy that's playing off of him, is being shot at, and he hides behind a telephone pole or street lamp pole or something like that. Anyways, Serov coming in, defensive fire up. You're using your reinforcement, the sector reinforcement, fine, all good, makes sense. And the Serov is ignoring you, so you get to farm his planes. That's neat. Okay, not much has been going on. I want to direct your attention again towards that 8-9 line. You've got some ships that are kind of brewing over there. Might have been a good possibility to farm those guys. But the Question is, what are you going to do now? 482 damage only. 6 minutes into the game, and you've lost over half of your health. The enemy battleships simply do not want to come out and play. And look at your Indomitable, by the way. He is sailing straight into an enemy destroyer. So, oops. Kind of feels bad. But you are up 2 ships overall, so yay for that, I suppose. Here comes some more planes coming in. All right, now you've decided to smoke up, which is fine. I mean, I think it makes sense. You're spotted. You're farther away from the island than you were before. So play it safe. Sure. Now you could be shooting at the York here. I think he's in your range. Can't remember which of those two that is. If that's your primary or your torpedoes. Let's see. 13.2 is your main battery range. Okay. Dominable is freaking out, seeing the mouse over there. There you go. All right, so you're going to start shooting the York. Unfortunately, the York is starting to turn away, so there goes your farm again. Keep your eye over here on the 8 line. These guys are starting to push now. So when I'm in a ship like this, I look at myself as like kind of like a World War I era machine gunner, right? You build your nest with your smoke and you find a place to hide behind. But the key to machine gunning is you have to be where the enemy is going to be pushing from. And basically you just kind of plop down your machine gun and start everything. So one of the things I always do when I play these kinds of ships is I'm looking at the minimap to figure out where is the enemy going to push. Wherever they're going to push, that's where I want to be. I want to be on that flank. So I would have relocated a long time ago to the other side. Try to push back the Gneisenau, or at least farm him, the Harlem, and the Renown. All right, well, suddenly you are down on health compared to the enemy team. Even score, though. However, you did lose 1 carrier. Depending on how you feel about carriers, that may be a good or bad thing. But honestly, I think in this particular game, I would think it is unfortunate. Luck chuck the torpedoes. And this part is very unfortunate. You're out in the open. You're spotted. You got these Serov skip bombers coming in. Bismarck just took a shot at you as well from the other side. And you're forced to smoke as quickly as possible. Here's the part where I would be smoking and I'd be turning. I'd be turning to get my port, my left side torpedo launchers open. Because I want to fire those torpedoes, then I want to hit my reload booster. And then I want to torpedo again from both racks if I can help it. You didn't do that, you only used the one. And very unfortunate for you, the Harlem has the exact thing that can counter you. Dutch airstrike. It's going to push you out of the smoke. I know you don't want to be out of the smoke, but of course, because of the fact that you're so low, you cannot afford to take any of these bombs. And of course, you've got low health, low armor on the ship. Very big risk shooting there just because you don't necessarily know what's going to see you from the other side. So I don't know if that was a good idea necessarily to take those shots. Now that I think about it, we talked earlier about your upgrades. There's a special upgrade for smoke module that increases the duration of smoke, or the time that your smoke is activated, and that might be something that could help. Now look, the Renown and the Gneisenau have both pushed up. Again, this would have been a really good opportunity. Had you kind of spun and fired your torps, maybe you might have gotten a torped that way. Alright, you got the enemy sub right there. Unfortunately, in your position, going after that sub is not gonna end well for you, most likely. Just because of how close you have to get to fix the problem. Fortunately for you, you had a battleship teammate who used battleship ASW, which ironically is the better way to kill subs these days. And more shells coming in. This is where you get really skinny and just pray really, really fast. Fortunately for you, renown goes down. I am amazed that your ranger is still alive, by the way, because he was being chased by the enemy battleship. And at least one other thing. So I have questions about that, frankly. But hey. Okay, at this point, still quite low. Your Bismarck is the biggest threat to you, and again, going back to the idea of being in front of the enemy push, if you really want to do damage at this point in the game, I would try to position myself in front of where the Bismarck will most likely come up, which means he'll come up probably Echo 3, right? So I would probably want to position myself here so that I'm within range. I can smoke up and I can farm the Bismarck for a bit instead of, you know, whatever. So you didn't do that. You instead are heading south now. Looks like you're heading straight for the York. Oh, look, the Serov is there. That's a very forward position. Honestly, I could see it with the enemy team pushing around up the 8-9 flank like that. Okay. In a carrier, the closer you are to the action, the quicker your planes can cycle to get into that action. Of course, you have to be careful because you go too close and you get spotted and you die. So, but that's a very strong position for a Seraph to be. So I kind of like it. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to do too much with his bombers, but part of that is probably because he's in a tier 8 match. And of course, your anti-air is just shredding a lot of planes, so that's kind of fun. Just checking on something. Okay. Now this is extremely risky. Now you've put yourself in a position where the York will shoot at you and the Bismarck could shoot at you. But you're probably thinking at this point you're up 5 ships over the enemy. Whatever, just go, right? Love that the York got the kill. Yeah, using your defensive fire is fine here because that Seraph is going to be cycling planes very quickly. Obviously, he knows that you're right there and, you know, you want to kill him. So I can see him cycling planes very fast. Which means you'll have maximum uptime essentially for your defensive fire. There it goes, anti-air defense expert. You're doing a nice job, though, of dodging these airstrikes as well as you can, at least, right? Wonder where the Lexington's planes are. We haven't seen them in a while. There they are. Okay. I'm surprised he's not going after you as well, but I suppose he'd rather farm battleships, more damage, and frankly, you are hard to hit. Oh!
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
Those torps must not have armed. Wow, you got lucky there. So that opponent, the Seraph player, must be using, it looked like using at least Swift Fish for faster torpedoes, and not using the skill that allows you to the torpedoes to arm earlier. All right, now comes your prize. You've got AP loaded into his broadside. Makes perfect sense. Don't even bother with torpedoes. It doesn't matter. Just Citadel slap him. Oh well. Unfortunately, you took your eye off the ball there with the planes coming in and the thought to switch the torps, but whatever. Carrier's dead. sure the Normandy was very happy to assist you in that kill. Bismarck is still alive, believe it or not. That's impressive. All right, so now the question is, where is the Lexington? That spot on his there is very old. So, but the bombers are coming from the same place, general vicinity wise. So it's possible that he might be just playing floating airfield. EvilTreeSock shooting, and he's shooting because that brought his gun bloom up to the Lexington area. He wants to see, is the Lexington still there? If he was detected, that would mean the Lexington was indeed still there, or at least anywhere in the larger area of his gun bloom. So you'd get an idea of where to find the Lex. As you can see, he did not get detected. Lexington was farther away, and now we see where the Lexington is. He is clearly running away. Now his position I want to mention too, by being so far away opposite of the Serov, by being so far away, it took a much longer time for him to cycle his planes with that Lexington. And that means he's not as effective as a carrier player. So he might have been better off also moving to where the Serov was after that team pushed up the 8-9 line. Especially with dual carriers, I feel like you're going to have the advantage of spotting and knowing where the enemy ships are so that you can make that determination of where you want to be. Somebody is shooting at you from long range. That's cute. Smoking up just to try to fool with the Lexington's drop, I guess is okay. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? Because he's going to come around for another pass on you. So now you're in the smoke. Okay, that works. That works. I can get behind that. The Benson player is very proud of destroyers. Are you gonna die here? Do we get a death pick? Oh, no, we don't. Game ends. You got the cap, and he died at the exact same time. Did you guys see that? Wow. All right, let's play through this and let's watch it go. Where's my camera thing? I'm gonna move myself over to like here or something. I don't know. Whatever. All right, so let's take a look at the game as it unfolds. And you can see you sitting there. Unfortunately for you, this game was not very effective. You did not get a lot of damage done. You had a lot of damage dealt to you, of course. And now you're moving away. I think you reacted a little bit too late to the enemy push up that 7-8 line. We're going to go ahead and let's see if I can slow this down a little bit. And then we're going to take a look at it again. There we go. And we'll take a look at it again as it cycles, and we'll try to, I'll try to highlight some key things to think about. Okay, some of those key, I guess you could say, mistakes or decisions which had an impact in your game. All right, so the first obvious key decision is moving yourself over to the Echo 5 island early. You're right by it, so I get it, but again, right there, you've been spotted, and these guys down here can shoot at you. Maybe this guy here can shoot at you. If this is a higher tier game, whoever here can. And maybe something over here can shoot at you as well. So it's a very risky approach with a double carrier, mind you, meaning the chances of you being spotted on your approach are very high. I think a better play might have been for you to immediately head out eastward and then head due south once you got behind this big island. And then you just kind of sit there and be a royal pain. Alternately, the island, see the Belfast 43? The island right south of that Belfast 43 is actually a pretty smart place for you to go as well, because it can give you firing arcs over this part of the island. So anything hiding behind here, you might get an arc on. It also allows you to rotate quickly if something materializes in the way of a 9-10 line push from the enemy. If you put yourself here, it's kind of harder to rotate out because you're kind of stuck going this way along the island. Over here, you've got more maneuverability. Alternately, you could go Delta 8 and 9. You can go up here. I like to go up here in a spammy cruiser as well because a lot of people like to park their ships back here and wait. And you can be farming while they are waiting. And also you can rotate 9-10 line if you need to. Okay, so that's the first decision there. Also, get closer to the island if you're going to play there. I think you need to be closer to the big island. All right, opening up on the Ognivoy, big risk doing so. You didn't get punished for that, but extremely big risk. Because while you're shooting at him, Bismarck has a shot on you, Leon has a shot on you, Gneisenau took a shot on you, missed. Later, he's going to get a Citadel and really slap you down. It's coming up from this position. Again, that's the cross shots I was talking about. There you go. That's when you got slapped down. Now, looking at the mini-map, these guys over here are afraid to commit, right? Bismarck, Leon are just running. Hawk is making his way up the one line. So you could move over by the Benson, take advantage of his smoke, help kill the Ognivoy, beat up on the Hawk. Okay, that's one possibility. The other possibility is you head over to the islands that I was talking about, the positions here, and position yourself to be ready for receiving their enemy, their push. 3 ships in one area, generally speaking, and even in a random battle, that's kind of a sign that something is going to happen, because when you have teammates nearby, you feel more confident, you feel more willing to make your more daring plays. And so I would just look at the minimap. I would expect to see these guys eventually materialize into a push. Whereas over here, these guys are scattered to the wind. You can farm the Hawk, but Bismarck and Leon, they're not going to come play with you. All right, let's continue watching where you go. You're still sitting there. You're still trying to find somebody to shoot at. You're getting nobody. You're getting frustrated. You're like, the hell with this. Oh, nope. Actually, no. Here's where you smoke up to try to shoot the York for a little bit. Get a little bit of chip damage. Law mess kills the what was it? The Indomitable. And here's the enemy push I was talking about. See, when they come around the corner, you want to be either here or you... Echo 6 is dangerous simply because the battleships over on the west side of the map could have a shot on you. So you could also be farther back like the Benson and Hawk are. But if you were at this island, you could have torqued the hell out of this channel and probably come away with some good stuff, damage-wise. All right, now you're moving out. Unfortunately, when you moved out, you didn't have your smoke available. It was on cooldown. You smoked up because you got spotted by planes again. Carriers, meaning you're going to be spotted for days. And you're in smoke. You're getting some free shots. There's the Dutch cruiser strike. You got back into the smoke. You were able to farm for a little bit. And then you came out, and oh my god, there's a battleship right there. But you lived. The Magi was able to help. Rook was able to help. And again, here's that other decision point. All right, this push on the enemy team is completely fizzled out, right? The 7-8 line. What do I want to do now? I've got 2 choices. One, I could go full YOLO to the cap. 2, I could set up to receive the battleship Bismarck as he pushes around the corner. Personally, I would have gone to receive the Bismarck, especially because, well, frankly, you're in the front of the push if you go south, and there's the York right there who's healthier than you, and there's a Seraph too that you had to fight. So you're basically forcing yourself into a 2v1, possibly 3v1 engagement if the Bismarck decides he wants you dead. So I think you'd be better off controlling your engagement by positioning yourself, Delta 4, Charlie 4, farm the Bismarck, and then go back. Video is acting wonky. Apologies for that. Don't know what's up with that. Here you come down. There's the Seraph. Boom. Off he goes. And then you're on the cap. You're looking for who you're going to kill. And you see the Lex. There's the Lex. All right. Go shoot the Lex. Lex dies the exact moment that you get the cap, which is really cool. All right, guys. Well, that should just about do it for this video. if you made it this far, let me know. Thank you for watching, and I would love to hear from you guys some feedback on what I'm doing. If you like the way these are being played and all that good stuff. Um, I also have a very important question in the community tab that I would like your feedback on, and we'll go from there. Okay. Till next time, Lord Zas saying, take care. See you on the seas.